Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. I'm Gene Della Sala, I'm president of Audioholics, and today we have
Hugo Rivera, Vice President of Marketing. Gene, today I think we should discuss the topic of tweeters because we have a lot of viewers out there that are wondering, what's better? Is a metal tweeter better? Is a soft tweeter better? And why?
Man, you're opening up a can of worms here. This is one of those debates that's been going on for decades.
Okay, another one of those.
It's one of those, man. It's like vinyl versus CD.
Oh boy. And cables.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to answer that question. Everybody's right and everybody's wrong.
Once again, everybody's confused.
Everybody's confused. I hope that clears it up. So yeah, there's a camp that says the metal domes are better, that, there's more science behind using metal now because you could control it better. And then there's a camp that say the soft dome tweeters are smoother and warmer and more natural. And, there's reasons behind both. I will tell you that a metal dome not done correctly and done cheaply, which is a lot of the cases that are out there, can be very bad.
Okay.
And the whole reason why they can be bad is primarily for resonance. And you could put up a graph of a speaker that we just saw reviewed at Sound and Vision magazine. You could see the resonant peak over 10 dB at 20 kilohertz. That driver's breaking up. They didn't do a good job controlling the resonance.
Right.
And a lot of these cheaper tweeters, if they don't have good quality control and good tolerances on the parts, they don't dampen the surround correctly, they don't put a phase plug on it correctly, there could be problems. And some people might like the elevated effect of more frequency output at the higher frequencies, but it can be fatiguing. And more often than not, a bright speaker tends to have a metal dome than it does have a soft dome.
Got it.
But that doesn't mean you can't have a good metal dome. Let's stick on the topic of metal domes a little bit longer. There's different kinds of dome materials that are used. Metal domes can be made out of aluminum, titanium, beryllium. Usually the cheapest ones are titanium. They tend to have a more prominent breakup mode. Very few companies these days are still using titanium. I just think aluminum is usually better. You could control it a lot better. The shape of the dome really matters. The more convex and more rounded you can make it, the less prominent the breakup mode will be.
Okay.
And they put like a phase plug on it to reduce the on-axis beaming. It helps. Sometimes they put a little wave guide to help with diffusion and also to help with integration to match directivities with the mid-range. Not all drivers are in need of that, and we'll get a little bit more into that in a little bit. But really, the best metal domes I've ever heard are, again, in the $50,000 reference speakers.
Sure.
Have pure beryllium, and very few companies do that as well. I mean, RBH has a beryllium driver, TAD has a beryllium driver. It's a very expensive metal to work with, and it's toxic if it comes into a powder form. If it burns, you want to run away from that.
Nice.
But the thing about beryllium that's incredible is the breakup mode is way beyond the audio band. I mean, the breakup modes on some of those beryllium tweeters are like at 30 kilohertz.
Okay.
So I mean, this thing is as smooth as a silk dome, and it's less distortion, more linear than most silk domes. So, there's some advantages to the metal domes, but there's a lot of disadvantages, and if they're not done right, that could be a real problem.
Yeah, so it sounds to me like at the end of the day, when it comes to the metal ones, the production quality is the key here.
That is, and there's so many of these mass market companies, man. They just don't have QC over the drivers.
Yes.
I mean, I've measured what's called the oil can effect on so many tweeters. It's where you see that huge resonant peak, but you could also hear. I hate, for lack of a better term, they have what's called the Chinese dome syndrome, and you could hear, if you run a sweep tone through somebody's metal dome tweeters, you can hear like a resonance.
Ouch.
That's not the fundamental from what the sweep you're doing, but it's just a bad resonance that they didn't control well.
Right.
You get that in a metal dome, you never get that in a soft dome.
You know how it is from the engineering days, sometimes you have companies that are just looking for the cheapest parts.
Yeah.
With no, thinking about the tolerance of the part or anything else for that matter.
Oh, there's no doubt about that. And metal sells. I mean, metal looks more impressive. It's shiny. It's silver. But a lot of the best sounding smoothing speakers, the argument that soft dome tweeters are smoother, there's a lot of validity to it. I mean, we've got this the speaker here that has the ScanSpeak 9500. Still to this day is one of the best soft dome tweeters ever made. It has a very low resonant frequency, so it could play lower. You could cross it over at a lower frequency to the mid, so you can improve directivity. It has high power handling, great off-axis response. I mean, this tweeter is just amazing. Very few tweeters can surpass its performance, especially in the metal ones. I mean, the only metal one I've heard that's equally as good or better is the Beryllium one, and that's $500 a tweeter.
Yeah.
From the same company, ScanSpeak. I mean, they make incredible drivers. But there are some advantages to the soft domes. Soft domes tend to be, like I said, a more convex shape, more of a natural dome.
Right.
So their breakup modes are less prominent. They tend to not be as linear in the pass band as some of the better metal domes, but when they break up, they don't kill you. They don't make your ears bleed.
It's a little bit smoother.
It is. And, you know, because the soft domes generally have a lighter dome material than the metal counterparts, they're a little bit more efficient. So they play louder at the same volume level.
Okay. Well, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So, I mean, I hate to tell you one's better than the other. It really depends on execution and design objectives. Bottom line is if you need good QC, you hit the nail on the head with that. You need good QC. You need to choose drivers that have the right power handling, the right directivity, so that way the mid-range and the tweeter blend and it doesn't sound like you're listening to separate speakers, like you get in the car audio, and you get the tweeters up on the door and the woofers on the bottom, and it sounds like you're listening to boom and sizzle.
Yeah, you're listening.
Not integrated.
Exactly. Okay, that's awesome. Yeah, I think like anything, Gene, you know, like you said, you know, I mean, good QC for the metal ones especially will take you a long way, and I think that's where the whole confusion happens, because you know somebody may buy a speaker that is a metal speaker, has low quality, you know, next thing you know
they assume all metal speakers are bad.
Absolutely.
And it's funny because I didn't have any metal dome speakers, like modern metal dome speakers, in our labs today when we're shooting this video, so I brought out our trusty old JBL Pro 3. And it's got a pretty primitive metal dome. I mean, this speaker's like 20 years old, okay? So, I mean, it doesn't have the nice rubber surround that you get on the metal domes now, which help to dampen the response and terminate it to the basket or the driver. It doesn't have, it's a very primitive. If you look at the dome shape, it's not very rounded. So, I mean, but back in the day when this tweeter came out, the direct competition was mostly paper tweeters. So this was a revolution back in the day when it came out, but by today's standards, it's an inferior dome to what they're doing.
I think a good tip to give people that are, you know, getting started and looking for gear out there is that if they're interested in a product, to just simply call the company and ask what type of tweeter the speaker has and what is it made of, you know? Yeah,
and you know, if you could get a hold of the people, but find out, you know, do the research online. Do the research online, look at our reviews. We measure this stuff, and we talk about it in the measurements, and you could see the problems in drivers just if you have the right measurements. And more often than not, it's not just about the quality or the material that they're touting, it's about the quality of the execution of the drivers. And another myth that we discussed prior is don't assume that a company that's making speakers, let's say the Paradigms, the JBLs, don't assume that they have better QC over their drivers than some of the large companies that are doing nothing all day long but making drivers. You know, some of the best drivers in the world are done by ScanSpeak, Focal. You know, there's a lot of brands out there. These guys do this for a living. They have really good acousticians at their disposal. So don't fall for that myth that a company builds their own drivers, because most companies don't.
They do not.
They basically they call up a driver company like ScanSpeak and say, hey, we want your tweeter, but we want a gold anodized dome instead, so we could put our faceplate on it. That's their driver.
Job done.
Yeah.
That's a little bit of behind the scenes in the engineering that happens.
Right. Yeah, don't fall for that. You know, it's just, there's a lot of myths out there, and I hope that these kind of videos are at least sparking a debate and getting you to think.
Awesome.
Don't take the blue pill, friends. Take the red pill.
Absolutely. And I would love to invite our friends also to go ahead and let us know in the comments what kind of tweeters they have in their systems, you know, what kind of results they're getting from them.
What do you prefer, soft or hard dome? Let us know.
We want to know. Awesome. So on that note, please subscribe to our channel and click like if you like this video, and share it with your friends. Until next time, keep listening.
And listen well.